Let's do it.
All right. Hey, it's Coach Kat, founder of Symphonic Mind Body Coaching, and welcome to the SMBC YouTube series Cat Chats, where I sit down with incredible humans to explore how they move through life, find their rhythm, and stay balanced. I am so excited to be sitting down with my good friend Marica Lowe. Marissa is a free, courageous, authentic woman, mother, and storyteller who inspires others by embodying what it means to live in alignment with their spirits. And today we are going to be chatting about Marissa's journey into motherhood. So, with that, Marissa, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, I am well. I am well. I am well. Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. My pleasure. All right. So, I always like to start with, just the basics. So, I know I gave a brief bio, but I'd love a longer bio. Tell the people who you are, where are you originally from, and where are you currently residing?
Yeah, okay. So I always start with my name is Marissa, Marissa with a C, a free, courageous, authentic woman. And I am originally from Queens, New York. I am currently residing in New Orleans, Louisiana. And yeah, a little bit about me. I'm like, where do I begin the story? Because I feel like my story has gone so many places in my 40 years on this earth. Um, but once upon a time, I was an accountant. So I went to school for accounting and hit the ground running after that. So I worked for one of the big four accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, for a few years. And then I went into the private sector of financial reporting and I was an accountant for about 12 years. And then I decided to pursue entrepreneurship. So throughout that time, I had been holding a dream of um, owning a boutique and event space for quite some time, but with another friend, we had been talking about it. And at one point, I was just like, and at the end of this year, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to just make it happen. So throughout that time, for about 6 months, I had started doing all the things to structure my business and um, was still working in a corporate space. So when that 6 months was up, I was just like, ooh, those benefits look cute. I don't know if I want to give up that money and all of the things. And then we had the pandemic which I just knew was a sign to be like, look, if you think you're going to backstep on your promise that you made to yourself, think again. And so in the pandemic, that's when I started my business, the Purple Kitty, New York, and I was doing um, wellness events online and in person, hosting spaces, having other people host space. And then I moved to New Orleans after 2 years doing that and started being the forefront of my business. Instead of having other people share their gifts, I began to share mine. And I held space for breath work with individuals, in groups, in person, virtually, just, doing all the things to share wellness with people who look like me. And then 2 years ago, almost, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and that shifted everything in my life. So that's where we are right now, just um, being what I call a professional mom. And so here we are.
I love it. Here we are. And congratulations on all of that. I mean, I have to say, as a fellow entrepreneur, I now know how brave it is to leave
Yes.
those cute benefits, right? And do your own thing. It's scary, but it's so
Yeah.
worth it, right?
Yeah. 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 It's the most expansive thing I've ever done, the most courageous thing that I've ever done. And with that risk, with that courage, I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about the people around me, a lot about my capacity to hold difficult things as well as love for myself and the people around me. So, yeah, it has taught me so much outside of just the business aspect.
Yes, and also congratulations on being a mother. That's beautiful.
Yes, that's one of my favorite things about myself.
Yay! Well, let's get into that some more. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you backtrack a little bit. When you think back to the moment when you realized that you were about to become a mother, what do you feel, if anything, shifted in you? Physically, spiritually,
Mhm.
emotionally?
Oh, so many things. I have been preparing to become a mom for a few years prior to um, learning that I was pregnant. So during the pandemic, I learned so much about myself. And I started doing a lot of excavating into my life, understanding myself, my family, like my beliefs, and just questioning kind of everything. And I knew that there was work that I got to do on myself before bringing another human into this world. And so it was intentional when I had Ori, which is her name. Um, and what shifted? I when I found out that I was pregnant, I kind of stopped everything. So for about a month, I just was in my house, more specifically in my room. It felt like all of a sudden I needed to protect myself, and no one else knew
Mm,
this thing. Even if I did tell them, no one else could protect this person, this human that I was holding on to. So for about a month, I was taking calls in the bed, eating in the bed, like doing everything in my room. And anytime I would want to go out for a walk or something like that, it just didn't feel right. Um, there's something that just changes in your brain all of a sudden automatically when you know that there's another human inside of your body. And so, yeah, immediately I wanted to protect myself and protect my baby. Um, the thing that shifted, I felt the most spiritually tapped into God, knowing, universe, however people um, define God. But there was just like a knowing in me that I can't describe. And I remember in my relationships, some of the biggest changes that took place um, when I became pregnant. I remember realizing how. mm, how much of myself I was giving to others. Um, and when I began to take that back because I knew that I needed to nourish my own body and take care of this baby and create this baby, that when I started to pull back that energy from people, people got really upset with me. Um, and um, they could not understand why I didn't have the time or energy or space or capacity for them. Um, and especially when you're early on in your pregnancy, like people can't see that. So it doesn't seem like anything is going on with you, and you should just be able to show up the way that they expect you to. Um, and I had this one experience with someone that I had called a friend. Um, at the time. I wasn't really communicating with her much because I was in my own body trying to navigate what I was feeling and what was going on. And there was a lot going on with my daughter's father at the time. And so I just didn't have capacity for other things. And she wanted to be seen. And I expressed to her, how I was feeling and that, a few things were going on in my life. Um, and she seemed to understand at the moment. And then a few days later, she had reached out to me and she wanted my help for some things. And turns out she was having her own manic situation episode that I could not help with. But she wanted my time and energy. And I remember I was just she came by my house and I was trying to support her. But it became really clear, like, she wasn't respecting the boundary of I need this time for myself and for my baby to navigate what's going on. And I remember I was hungry and I needed to go to the grocery store, and she was just taking up so much time and space. And it just clicked in my head. I was like, if I don't feed myself, then my baby starves. And sometimes you have to think about things that bluntly, like you're taking away from my baby right now, and that's not acceptable. And so that I had to end that relationship immediately. And I think in this society, we um, have this idea like we have to, give people something called the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's going through something, all these kind of things. And we don't have to do that. Benefit of the doubt to me means that I give the person the benefit and I doubt what feels right inside my body. And I'm not taking the doubt anymore, especially when it comes to the survival of another human that is attached to me. And so, yes, so many things shifted. The way I communicated with people, the way I communicated with the world, the way I identified myself, and the way I cared for and loved myself, shifted most specifically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you had that experience with a former friend. However, glad to hear that you stood in your truth and that you
Yeah.
were not afraid to put up that boundary.
Absolutely not. Anything for my baby girl. Anything for myself first, but anything for my baby girl. Yes.
Period.
Yes.
And speaking of baby girl, did you already have the name Ori in mind, or did that come a little bit later?
So, yes-ish. At the time when her and my father, so not my father, her father, but me and her father were together at the time, um, we knew that we wanted to have a child, and we had this shared notes in our on our iPhone. So sometimes when we would think of names, we would put it in the notes section. And I remember in December of 2023, I was getting a reading, something called the Ori reading. So the reading was with an Ifa priest, and he was trying out some new. He's also a friend of mine, but he was trying out a new way of doing his readings. And an Ori means head or crown, and it's your first Orisha in the Ifa tradition. So it was a practice where you go under hypnosis and you travel to your past, present, and future. And right before that reading started, I looked at my text, and I saw that there was a new name in the notes section, which was Ori. Her father had added it in there, and I automatically knew, like, yes, if I have a child, that's going to be the name, boy or girl, doesn't matter. Um, and so yes, then I went into hypnosis, and then turns out Ori came to me in my reading. And so a month later, after the reading, I found out that I was pregnant, and I knew that that was going to be her name. End of story.
All
Beginning of
that's
story, end of story, whatever you want
yes.
to call it. Yeah,
All of that synchronicity. I love that.
yeah,
No
yeah.
coincidences.
That's what I'm saying. When I told you when I became pregnant, all of like I was tapped in at a whole new level. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible. I want to pivot slightly. Can you dig a
Okay.
little more deeply into what this hypnosis reading was like? Because I just
Yeah,
had a
sure.
reading recently, my first one, and it was incredible.
Yeah,
Definitely, there was no hypnosis involved, but I'm
yeah.
curious.
So this reading was really intricate because he usually does reading of kola nuts, and so like a divination process or what have you. So it started out with him reading the kola nuts, and my ancestors came in, and we had a whole conversation around my paternal lineage, um, and then we took a break. And we went into the hypnosis portion. So it was like it's kind of like being in meditation initially, and then you go a little bit deeper. And when we went deeper, we went into my present, I believe first, or maybe yeah, my present at first. And I was like, I don't see anything. And I'm laying there like, this isn't working. this is not working. Um, I was like, all I see is black. Like, I don't see anything. And then he took me a little bit deeper and we went into my future. And I was like, all I see is black. And then I see like these lightning bolts. And I just kept seeing like these golden lightning bolts. And all of a sudden, I just saw this arm. It just went like this. And I was like, I think I'm in my womb. And he was like, your womb or your mom's? I was like, I think this is mine. And I just saw just this arm, and that's all I saw. And then we went into my past, and the past was somewhere that I had been before in like a visualization meditation. I think when we think about hypnosis, it's like this whole idea that you're like you're unaware, but it's kind of just like being in that theta state of kind of sleep, kind of awake, but you can visualize some things. And it's kind of what happens, not kind of, it's what happens when you go into that deep space of continuous breathing during breath work. Um, where you're in this suspended space. And so when I went into my past, I had been to this place before and it became a little bit more colorful there. I was able to see more, probably because I had someone else asking me questions. And previously, when I had gone into this past visualization space, I had just taken myself there through meditation. So it was really, really cool. And I also remember smelling a lot of different scents of like different flowers and things. And as I'm speaking, it's so interesting because right now in New Orleans, jasmine is in bloom. And there's a lot of jasmine in my courtyard. And I feel like there was like those kind of scents. Um, and when I say scents, like they were scents that I was smelling in reality, not in the hip the theta space, which was really freaky at the time. Um, but that the thank you for asking this question because when I tell the story about how I knew I was pregnant or how Ori came to be, sometimes I don't go into depth about the past part that came up because of who I was in this past self. Like very regal, very just, I don't have the word for it, but I have like a feeling to it, right? And I remember seeing these knights that were just lined up in this golden armor and my sister transitioned almost 13 years ago now. And it was just like her in multiple forms. Like she was my warrior, and I would just give her some instructions and she would go do the thing. And the next night would move up into space, into that space, and just be ready for whatever I needed them to do. And I remember traveling um, to the window and just looking out over this beautiful land. And sometimes I would go into the marketplace there and just mingle with the people, even though I was a person of like aristocracy, I guess. But I was always with the people. And I would mingle with them and we would gossip and have a good time. And then I would go back into my lair or whatever. And I start to think about who I am now. And I feel very regal in who I am now. And I also feel very connected to the individuals in the community and serving the community at the same time. And so, yeah, it it feels I feel very who I am meant to be, if that makes sense.
It does make
I was always meant
sense.
to be. Yeah.
Yes, it does make sense. Also, thank you for describing that. Your depiction of hypnosis and relating it to meditation and REM cycle sleep, that makes total sense. Like I feel like to your point, when we hear or see examples of hypnosis, it feels, I don't know, not approachable or kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah, kind of
Just not
scary or kind
realistic.
of goofy or yes, unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
yours just sounds like, okay, tell me more. I'm enlightened. I want to try this.
Wonderful. Yeah, you should. You should. Well, how was your experience? I know this is my thing, but I would love to hear if there's a bit of your experience that you
Yeah,
want
I'm
to share.
happy. No one's ever asked me a question during, so yeah, this is new. Let's go. No, it was really wonderful. I knew exactly what I was going in there to kind of conjure up in terms of specific answers to specific questions that I had about different aspects of my life. And it was almost like more like confirmation that
Mhm.
I need to stay the course and that I am
Yeah.
where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. I'm surrounding myself with the people I need to. But then also, like, there's still some things in the past
Yeah.
that are holding me back. Things that I
Okay.
thought I was over a long time ago that I would
Okay.
defiantly tell you, like, no, it doesn't bother me anymore. It totally still bothers me. It is
Yeah.
totally still there. And I
Yeah.
am just, it was a good reminder that I still have some releasing to do. So, this
Oh,
person gave me some ideas for how to release. I've already
okay.
put those into practice. I'm happy to say that they are working. Um, Takes a lot of energy. I
Yes.
don't I have to be in a certain headspace, when
Yeah.
I'm preparing to release, and I make sure I don't have any plans for the
Yes.
rest of the day afterwards
Because you
because
gotta
it
rest.
you have to rest, like if you're doing it right, you're probably going to be mentally fatigued a little bit and maybe physically
Yeah.
fatigued afterwards. But that deep reflection, to your point, I mean, it really does. It feels like you're meditating. It feels like you are doing some real work.
Yeah. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said release. I'm so two words that you, well, two things that you said. One was around staying the course, because that has been something that I have continuously been telling myself and continuously been writing in my journal to stay the course. Like I know that I'm on the right track, and I know that I know who I am. So just stay that course. So thank you for that reminder just by saying it out loud. And then the release part, I would love to offer something that I do, or that I have learned in this grand scheme of all of the big things that I have been navigating, um, in my life as far as release practices. There's something that I have read about, deep release, that indigenous folks to the US, and I'm sure there's to America, or the North America, but around the world do, is, and it's so simple, but if you dedicate yourself to it, I 100% believe that, you will receive what you're looking for, or release the weight that you may be carrying. So it is like, um, going to the water always. The water is always a great place to release, right? But on my walk to the water, so I live close to, Bayou St. John in New Orleans, and on my walk to the water, I collect rocks. So you pick up a rock
Mm.
or anything on the way, to the water that calls you as you're walking. Um, and these rocks or these sticks or pieces of nature represent something that you're holding on to and that you want to let go. And by the time I get to the bayou, I may have a bag or a pocket full, or maybe just one, rock, that represents things that I'm holding on to. And when I get to the water, I pray or speak to that rock and tell it, like, this is what I'm letting go of. No more of this. I'm leaving it here. And I cast it into the water there. And then I go home. And, in the indigenous practice, you always keep one of the rocks to remember, like, you let all of that stuff go at the water. But for me, I like to leave them all there. I don't bring nothing back. And then I come back home and I either get something good to eat or lay down or just do whatever my body says, but knowing that all of that has been left there. Um, and yeah, I just decide to no longer carry. the things that I have left in the water. And nature is our friend. So just using her as a support system in our release process is amazing. And nature releases all the time. Like with each season, she lets go of the things that need to die off. So, yeah, that is a practice that I do, and I hope anyone listening can be supported by that as well.
Well, I am definitely going to make time to do that this week. I'll tell you that. I love that. I've never heard of that one before. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely somebody that, intentionally when I go to the beach, for example, like I'll look around, I'll pick things up, shells, rocks, etc. But I like, tailoring this specifically to the things that I need to release and keeping
Yeah.
that in the forefront of my mind as I'm heading towards the water. And I love that. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that this week.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you sharing that with us. So during the 9 months that Ori was growing in your belly, was there anything that surprised you, either about yourself or about
Mm.
others around you? And I know that you shared you had that instant with your friend, but maybe a little bit closer to the 9 months. Anything that changed that you noticed?
Um, I spoke up about what I wanted a lot more. What I needed, what I wanted, um, and especially what I needed. I think that is the most important thing in any woman's life, in any mother's life, in any pregnant person's life, to speak up about what you need. And not just knowing that speaking up to the people that you believe will be able to provide you that request, just speaking up, period, because you will be surprised about who shows up and who doesn't, and you will learn who you can depend on and who you can't. But it was kind of surprising how delicately people treated me, like strangers treated me. I would go on walks a lot in the mornings because I was pregnant during the summertime, and the summertime in New Orleans is a real specific kind of hot. Okay. And so I would, in order to get my walk in, my exercise in, and to get some time outside, I would go for walks in the morning before it got too hot. And the amount of people who would just stop and say congratulations, or how are you doing, or just showing some care, and especially men. It was very interesting.
Hmm.
But so many people would stop and say congratulations. And so many times when I was places like the food court at the mall, they would give me free food, free cookies, and like extra in my bag. I was always getting extra free food. Like that part was really exciting because I love to eat. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun being pregnant. Um, it was a lot of fun watching my body transform. I was like, I don't know how in the world women just sit there and act like a baby's not kicking inside of their body and not react to it. Like, that is the wildest thing. Every single time it happened, I'm like, oh my God. It's like, this is crazy. I remember the first time I felt her kicking, I called everybody. I sent voice notes. I was texting everybody. I was like, this is insane. And yeah, so much that I just learned about myself. I learned about pregnancy. Like in school, there's no real understanding of pregnancy and what happens to your body. And so I didn't know that the baby is attached to the placenta, not to you, right? The placenta is something that grows along, it's another organ that grows inside of your body along with your baby that wasn't there before. So you're growing multiple things. No wonder we have to eat so much food, right? And what you eat matters during that time. And um, yeah, just the amount of shifts, the amount of things that are going on in your body, your brain, your blood, your feet, your your not your pelvis is shifting, your breast, your teeth, everything is being affected by this. Um, and yeah, I was surprised at how vocal I was at the doctor's office and being like, "Are you talking about when the doctor would ask me?" Well, really was just telling me a lot of statistics because I had Ori when I was 39, and at the time, I was 38 when I was pregnant. So being over 35 and being a Black woman, there's all these risk factors that he kept telling me about. And I was like, are you talking about me per se? Or are you just talking about women who are 35 and are Black? Because if we're not talking about me, I felt like I was healthy. I am healthier than a lot of people that are 25. Okay. So when he was telling me all these risk factors, I realized that it's kind of like scare tactics. Not kind of, it is scare tactics. And if I wasn't in the headspace of all the work that I had done prior to becoming pregnant, I might have succumbed to them, thinking that I might need to have a C-section, or I might have to do, I might have um, uh, preeclampsia and all these things, like just being scared. Um, yeah, I was like, no, actually, I don't want to come to this doctor's office anymore. So I stopped going to the doctor. Like I was like, no. I had a midwife also, and a doula, but I just was like, my no meant no when I was pregnant, and since then, prior to that, I could see myself kind of bending and contorting, and since becoming pregnant, since becoming a mother, more and more, my no means no. And I'm okay with however other people feel about that no. So yeah,
I say it all the time. No is a complete sentence.
it sure is. It sure is.
And boundaries, again, so relevant. I'm glad that you
Yeah,
spoke your truth again, in the doctor's office. You took what felt helpful and you left the rest behind.
absolutely.
You used that
Absolutely.
natural, motherly instinct, the woman's intuition, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
did what you needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I want to change this idea that like we have to list like the doctor knows better than we do. I want to change this idea that motherhood is something that is so daunting, or that, has to be stressful, and um, it changes our lives in the way that we can't do what we wanted, what we had in mind for ourselves, or we have to leave ourselves behind. Like that is not true. That is not true. And our lives just become more full and expansive once we have a child. We do the most magical thing of all time by creating a human being in our bodies, pushing it out if we can, and then keeping this human alive to add to the society. I think it should be celebrated every single time you find out somebody's a mom. Every time. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yes,
And we should give reverence to women constantly for being able to keep our society going. I mean, if we really think about it, like if it wasn't for mothers, then we would be extinct. Like, what are we doing here?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Wonderful. Great. So you mentioned doula, you mentioned midwife.
yeah,
If you wouldn't mind sharing a little more about your birthing experience, what was that like?
yeah. Oh man, interesting. So many things happened. So I gave birth at home. I always wanted to have a home birth. I wanted to have a pool birth. So I had purchased, when I say I've been doing the work to prepare for this child, I have been doing the work to prepare for this child for years. So I purchased this pool back in 2020 or 2021. It's this beautiful, I bought it from this black woman who created like, these beautiful African printed pools that a
Ooh.
few adults could fit in. And I purchased it back in 2021 knowing that this is this is my pool, this is what I'm going to be giving birth in. And I blew that pool up, baby. And when it was time to push, I could not make it out of the bed. So I never made it into the pool. But I I knew that I didn't want a lot of people around. So I only had my midwife, my doula, and Ori's father, which leading up to that time, I had broken up with Ori's father or ended our relationship when I was 5 months pregnant. And so I had some back and forth about if I wanted him to be present. And so I ended up allowing him to be present. But yeah, it was just those three people there. And right before, so I let me just step back. My birthday is August 24th. And I woke up that morning about to celebrate and about to have something called a blessing way to bring usher in my child. A lot of people will call it like a baby shower kind of thing. And but yeah, I saw something called the bloody show, which is the first signs of you're going into labor. And so I was feeling a lot of um, small contractions and decided that we weren't going to have the party. I just called my friends and family to the house and we connected that way. And then 24 hours later, I woke up that next morning and something called your mucus plug had come out. And that is what kind of keeps any bacteria from coming inside of your wound space and in an infection. And that's like the gate is open for the baby to come. And so, yeah, um, I had been doing a lot of walking to try to bring my baby down. And I remember so many like spiritual things were happening during that time. And one thing that is told is like when you are in labor, that's the closest a woman is to death. And so a lot of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, like energy work is happening in the space. And you're really just focused on your body and trying to regulate yourself. Well, I was focused on trying to regulate myself. Like being in the hospital, there's lights, there's people, there's pressure, there's all types of things that could be adding to the experience. And I am so grateful to have been able to be in a comfortable space where I can eat and say what I needed and have the help that I needed when I needed it. But I will say maybe a month prior to going into labor, across the street from my house, there was a fire and and the house was still standing, but it was very, very deeply damaged. And I remember going on this walk on that second day, and it was they were like, let's just try to walk. I was like, this is one more walk, and then I'm done because I need to lay down. And I remember walking outside to my patio, my porch, and I walked down the stairs, and I looked up, and the house was on fire again. I saw smoke. And I was like, ooh, okay. And I remember walking inside and I heard this pop. And I had built an altar to usher in my baby and to give gratitude to my ancestors and ask for their help in the process. And I remember hearing a pop and my midwife came and she looked scared and she was like, the candle broke. And I was like, I know, it's okay. So there was all these like there was this fire and just like I feel like my baby was like, I am ready to come. And I remember giving candles to all of my friends and telling them to light it when I went into labor. And so um yeah, I had gone into the space and I remember being in my room. And I remember the biggest thing that I remember is having this mental conversation with myself, like, oh my God, you agreed to do this. This is insane. How am I going to do this? And then I had to, like, doing breath work, I'm like, okay, just try to breathe. You know, this is going to be over soon. Like, this is temporary. And then it was like, oh my God, I agreed to do this. I need to get out. Like, I can't believe that I'm doing this. And then it's like, just calm down. It's a temporary moment. And I remember feeling in between contractions, and contractions is something you can't really describe besides painful pressure. And I remember I would feel a contraction, and then I would feel her head going like this, and then a contraction, and a contraction. So she was kind of, I could feel her kind of making her way down my birth canal. And yeah, I remember my birthing team was there, but there was a moment that I felt so alone. And I'm like screaming, like, I can't, like you get so thirsty and you feel like you have to throw up and you feel hungry and you feel hot and you're cold and it's just like this back and forth. And I remember being like, I'm thirsty, and no one said anything. And I'm like, hello? And no one said anything. And I'm like, and I just started screaming my midwife's name. I'm like, Monica. And she finally responded. And there was a moment that I was just like, I'm in here by myself, and I was scared and I didn't know what to do. And I thought that I started pushing, and I thought had to wait for somebody to tell me to push, but just your body knows. And that's what I want to like leave people with understand. Like your body always knows when you feel just uncomfortable, even when you're not pregnant, like you just feel like something's off, like your body's telling you something, right? And so I just started pushing, and I remember it was dark in there, and she had come in the room and was like, "Oh, we're thinking about sending you to the hospital." And I'm like, "Why? Why?" And she's like, "Oh, well, you've been pushing for a long time, and you're tired. Of like, we could tell you're tired." And I was like, "I'm not tired." Actually, she didn't say you've been pushing for a long time. She didn't know that I had been pushing because they weren't in the room. But she was like, "It's been a while, and I don't want you to get too exhausted." And all of a sudden, I had this contraction, and I was pushing. And she was like, "Are you pushing?" I was like, "Yeah, girl. I don't, I don't know." And she turned the light on, and she was like, "Oh, okay. Let's do this." And I remember, like my doula was on one leg, and Ori's father was on the other. Um, and I told them to help hold my legs because I couldn't do all of the things. I just needed somebody to hold them. And I remember getting scared, and I was just like, "Do you think we could do this?" And now I'm a coach. I'm telling you that. I was like, I'm scared. Do you think we can do this? And my midwife and doula said yes. And I needed verbal confirmation. And Ori's father didn't say anything. And I was like, "I need to hear you." And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay. And I just screamed and pushed. And um, I remember her head popping out. And she just said, and I was like, okay. I could. So she breathed, she took a breath, and it just reminded me of how connected we are. Like I teach breath work, I do breath work, and this baby is like, I'm here. And so I pushed her, I kept pushing, and I was like, it's burning. And my midwife is like, that's the ring of fire. So right before their shoulders come out, it's like really hot and really intense. And she finally came out, and the umbilical cord was wrapped around her. And that is something that a lot of times people get really scared about. And it could be something scary, but the umbilical cord is not like something that's super taut. Like she just unraveled her, and she laid her on me. And that is an experience that oof, I can't even describe it. It's love on a whole different level. Like the air in the room. My doula was crying. I was like, "You be doing this? Why are you crying?" But it is like something you can't even. It's indescribable, indescribable. And I just remember being like, "I need to see her eyes. I need to see her eyes." And they turned her to face me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I did that. I did that." Like you couldn't tell me nothing after that. Okay, nothing. Who are you? I just pushed the baby out. Don't say nothing to me. Okay. Oh my God, it was the most magical experience of my life. most magical experience of my life. And I would say like I would do it again for her, but I wouldn't do it again. But as time progressed, I'm like, I would do it again in the right circumstances for sure, because it was so magical. Oh my goodness.
Wow. Wow, Marissa, I feel that. I feel that all through my own spirit. Like,
Yes. Oh, I believe there's something about being witnessed during pregnancy that I was just like, I don't want a whole bunch of people watching. But there's also something that is so profound about having your family or people who care about you in the space. And I learned that afterwards in talking to another um, sibling is what she calls herself. But she's a priest. She's another sibling. She's just another Black woman. Like in in some African traditions, like there would be just women in the room that they would be able to recount to you what they experienced, how they experienced you, what happened. Because some of that stuff you're not really there. Like there's a moment where you're pushing, but you're kind of in that same that theta space, right? In that space of going to get your child. It's like you're there but not there. And that's the space where you're going to get your child's spirit. You just are like, ooh. And that's a moment where if you have witnesses that can help you share that experience and also to help you afterwards, because there's moments that you feel insecure, inadequate, confused about what you are capable of, because you're so vulnerable and open, that having those witnesses to remind you of the greatness that you have done, and that you continue to do to keep yourself and your child alive, like is important. And so yeah, when I speak about motherhood, I'm always going to speak about it from the most amazing, unbelievable, magical experience, even in the hard, challenging, difficult times. Like the fact that you endure is just amazing. It's amazing. And having the support around you to help you remember how amazing you are is important. Um, And I would be remiss. I can't pretend like you're not my friend and one of those people in my support system that just keeps me going. So thank you.
likewise, my friend. And I did light my candle. I followed instructions that night. And I have to say, you also taught me a lot about the birthing experience because I had never been so present with someone that was experiencing this journey. And so,
Yeah,
I'm over here asking Carrie, like, has it been too long? Is
it was
she
a long
okay?
time, girl.
Should I check in? I don't know what to do. I
It
should I?
was a long time, right? And a lot of people, I don't
Yeah.
know if your candle burst, but a lot of people said their candle burst. And I was like, that baby is a powerful little human. She's like, I'm lighting fires. I'm burning candles there. Like I'm just like I am showing that I am here, I am power. And also, I thank you for saying what you just said. Like sometimes we don't know what to do. And sometimes it's like we just ask, we just reach out. And when the mother or the person is available, they will respond. And that's sometimes that's all we need. Even outside of motherhood, I have been navigating this space of um, making sure my friends in my community know that I care about them and that I am being the community that I'm asking for. So when I think about you, I'm gonna just call you. I'm gonna text you. I'm not gonna wait for you to tell me that you need me or that something's going on. Sometimes we know something's going on with our friend because we just know in our body. And sometimes our friends have said, I'm going through a hard time. And we think about them and we're like, oh, well, I don't want to bother them. No, bother them. Reach out. How are you? Are you okay? Do you need something? Do you need me to come? Can we go for a walk? Something. Do you need some food? Can I send you? Baby, you have sent me a little Uber Eats, okay? Because I needed it. And instead of waiting to find out if our friend is not well or if our friend is struggling even deeper, some like there's a lot of people hurting, people taking their own lives. And sometimes because they believe that nobody cares. And there's a lot of moms who are suffering and struggling because they believe they have to do it themselves, or if they ask, they won't get what they need, or they can't ask because they have to be strong, they have to provide, they have to do all these things. And if you know somebody's a new mother, just reach out to her and ask her what she needs. And if she doesn't know, because sometimes making decisions are too hard, send her some food. Okay? Come clean her house. Ask her if she needs to hold her baby. Come or just stop by, knock on the door. And she might reject you, and that's okay. But we have to get back into the habit of taking care of each other, of checking in on each other, because sometimes it's the matter of life or death. And the people that I care about and the people that care about me reach out to me. And I reach out to them. And it doesn't cost us anything. I said a lot, but I had to say it.
No, you said the perfect amount. You said the perfect amount. And so, a couple things. First of all, it is an absolute blessing and a privilege to be your friend and in your community and part of your tribe. Secondly, I love that you said the word miracle several times when you were describing your birthing experience specifically, because to me, like whether you are a believer of science, a believer of God, Allah, Buddha, whatever you call it, like they're all connected. There
Mhm.
is you can't deny the spiritual miracle part of the birthing experience. And the
Yeah.
connectivity happens immediately and it keeps going. It's a flow. So the candles
Mhm.
breaking, the fire starting up again,
Yeah.
all of these things, like it's all part of the communication process.
Yeah.
Uri
Yeah.
is telling you, like, Mom, I'm
I'm
coming.
I'm
I'm gonna be there in a little bit.
yes.
Get ready,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
and we get to recognize the power in the children that are coming into this world right now. This world is really interesting, strange, um, overwhelming, and on the verge of changing and shifting in ways we could not even imagine. And the children that are coming in are quite powerful and able to handle it as long as we take care of ourselves and we treat them like human beings and we honor the power that they're coming into this world with. Um, I believe it is so important to honor our children. And that doesn't mean, oh, you let your children walk over you, but just learn them too, because they are humans too. Learning them is important, and guiding them is important, and learning yourself in relationship to them is important. Like, I'm not just her mother, but that is a new definition that I carry. And who is that? So, learning that person is important to me. Um, yeah. I feel very passionate about being a mother. I feel very passionate about honoring our children and treating them like human beings and not like things that we possess or control. Um, and so anytime I get to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it, even if it's with an elder, my mother, or someone who has a different stance on what it means to um, raise children. I'm going to put um my own funk on it just because I just became a mother in this aspect doesn't mean I don't know. Because we've been mothering folks for all of our lives, especially if we're a Black woman. Okay.
That
Um,
part. That part.
We mother the world, okay? So, yeah, um, that is what I mean about being a professional mother. It's like really taking this position seriously. Um, I take this position very, very seriously. And also unserious because this world is not serious sometimes either. And just finding the inner child in me to play alongside my baby. Yeah.
Right. Equally important because they deserve that too. They deserve to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fun to play again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so we're not finished yet, but I just want to say I'm so grateful for you sharing this information because
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to reach so many people that need it. So,
Thank
all
you.
right, recently, several women in my personal circle have become moms as well, and they've slowly started to share their experience with postpartum. So
Yeah.
even though each of their stories are different, there is this one common thread about how they all find so much joy and need in community. And we've touched on it a little bit, but what has your experience, if any, been
Ooh.
with postpartum, and how has your community played a role?
Oh man, it has been a roller coaster in community. Partly because my experience in postpartum is not only, I wouldn't just say mine, all of our experience really, but I'm just talking about myself. It's not only related to bringing forth a child, it's related to the identity shift of me. Like, who am I now? How do I add quote unquote value to this world? Who am I in relationship to Ori's father? How were we, um, yeah, how are we working together or not in raising Ori? Um, and then who, how are the people that I once called friends and family showing up or not? And so I have learned a lot around about mm, who what do I want to say? Where people stand in my life. In certain respects, I've learned that I thought I was closer to some people than I was. Or maybe they just don't have the capacity to hold the emotion that I express now. I have learned to ask regardless of if I know I will get the thing or not. Because sometimes, like I said before, I've been very surprised who and how folks have shown up, um, and how much more I can get if I just ask. Um, I have done things like putting people in a group chat and saying, "This is where I'm at right now. I need help. I need somebody to call me. I need somebody to walk with me." And sometimes people just showing up or just calling me or just texting me. I'm in a city that is, for lack of better words, not as familiar to me as being in New York, Queens, where I'm from. So I don't have as many people that know Marissa prior to being a mother. And that has been an interesting space to navigate. There have been some really difficult nights, especially the first night when I was by myself with Ori, and she's a newborn baby, and I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'm scared to do that, right? There have been a lot of firsts, a lot of deaths of old ways of being and identifying. Um, and last spring, I had the realization like, I have done enough if I just woke up, got up with my baby, fed myself, took a shower. That is enough. Okay. Or if I put in the laundry, I don't believe that my value is tied to what I go out and do in the world. My value is tied to who I am, period, because I woke up today. My value is tied to how I feel about me. And um, it's a a big, even bigger realization of how much we add, women, mothers, add to this world by being a mother, taking care of a household, and then the expectation of working a job. Um, and I just, I don't want to do that. I want to care for my child every day. There's this idea like after you have a child, like you you need to put them in daycare immediately. And if you choose to do that, that's okay. That's your choice. I want to be with my baby. I want to be with her in these foundational years. I want to experience her first time on a swing and her first time experiencing when I saw her experience wind for the first time, she was looking around like, what in the world is that? Like those are things that I want to be present for. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care to just shift her, send her off someplace else. And when I started thinking about it, like I would just be going back to work to afford to pay to send her to daycare for somebody else to raise her. And that's not something that I want for myself, you know? So being okay with saying that out loud in front of a society that believes like you need to get back to work is an act of resistance, is a revolutionary thing. It really is. And
Hmm.
so navigating that in postpartum has been interesting because that also shifts relationships with people that I love and that love me, but don't understand that I just want to be her mother right now. And also being her mother has shown me parts of who I wanted to be when I was a child. When people said, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? One thing, the main thing that I said, or the only thing that I said when I was a kid was an artist. And as you know, like as I mentioned, like I was an accountant for so many years. And then I went into being a facilitator and in the wellness space. And that wasn't art. But ever since I became a mom, like I was featured. Well, we were featured in this art exhibition where they took portraits of moms and had interviews sharing our postpartum or our motherhood journey. And I was featured in an article. And then I was asked to be in a film, a short documentary around Black maternal health and postpartum and my experience with Ori. And I was like, oh, that's art. I am an artist, right? And so bringing back that part of me that I didn't, that I always wanted to be, but I didn't know how to in this world and still make money and still exist in the way that I was existing. So my postpartum journey has been, yeah, a roller coaster of um, a lot of things about of giving up relationships that just aren't aligned with who I'm becoming and um, strengthening relationships with people that I didn't really it was strong maybe but they really showed me like I'm here with you. Like we're growing together, you know, and learning how to navigate conflict even more and learning how to advocate even more, as I said. And even in the midst of all of that, I have been in a custody battle throughout the whole experience. And being entered into a system at 6 weeks postpartum ha- add another layer of challenges in my postpartum experience that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Um, but I know that I've been given this task. If I have a powerful baby as Ori, her mother must be even even more powerful, right? And so I know that I've been given this experience to sharpen me, to expand me. This is the most, I would say, the most expansive experience of my life. I thought becoming a business owner was, but no, becoming a mother in this society, in this time, in this season, um, with the challenges that I have faced, it's been the most expansive. And I know that there's mothers who have faced um, partners, abusive partners, um, and have not been able to sustain life, have not been able to um, remain whole. And I don't even know remain whole is if that's the right term that I want to use, because there's moments that I feel like I have broken, and breaking is not a bad thing always. It's like breaking open to really see what's underneath the surface and what's really inside of me. And a warrior is really inside of me. And also a really sweet, noble soul is inside of me. And also a gracious, joyful, free person is inside of me. All those layers have been exposed because I brought this child into the world. And so, yeah, my postpartum experience has been really tough and really rewarding. And also, like, I am just so grateful that I had this opportunity to become a mother and really show this world what I'm made of. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. I say the show is about incredible humans doing incredible things, but you really are the epitome of that, Marissa. Like you are an incredible human.
thank you.
You
Thank
you
you.
you really are. And thank you for being so vulnerable. We're almost
Yeah.
done. I know we've gone a lot longer than
It's
I
okay. I'm
said that we
happy that
would,
it is.
but thank
No,
you.
I'm happy that we do, and I thank you for the opportunity to be exposed in such a way. Like I'm speaking, and yeah, there's tears and there's all these things in my body that's happening, but it's important that these things are being released. And if you asked me this question a year ago, you would have gotten a different answer. I I was having a really hard time, and it takes women at least 2 years to really start feeling even any inkling of, okay, I got this. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. My child is going to be okay. In those early stages, you feel crazy. And I want, the one thing that I want to make sure that I say is like, you are not crazy. Your brain is recalibrated to keep this child alive. You don't care. It's like, oh, I got mommy brain, and this world wants you to think that there's something wrong, or like you've lost touch, or you can't remember things, or you're not as whole as you used to be. No, your brain has been recalibrated to only focus on you and this baby. That is it. Like everything else, not important. And then after a while, you start coming back. Your brain, your synapses be synapsing, and your brain starts to fire at the same. Because I used to, like a year ago, I was so upset that I couldn't think as fast as I used to. And now they're firing the way they used to, and sometimes on a whole new level of firing. But for that short period of time, and it is really a short period of time, even if it's a year or 2 years, it's a short period of time that like other things just don't matter. They don't. It's you and this child. Your safety, your health is the only thing that matters. And that's why sometimes you forget to close the door, or you forget to turn off the light, or you forget to wash the dish. Or I was like, how do people forget to take a shower? There was one day that I was just like, did I take a shower last night or this morning? I don't remember, right? That is possible. But sometimes that's only possible because you're not getting the support that you need, right? Not sometimes. It's only possible because you're not being supported. And we get to show up even more for women. So don't beat yourself up if you forget, if you only feel like you have space for your child and yourself, because that's all you're supposed to. You know? So yeah. And being a professional mom is more than enough after giving birth. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said, like, yes, it's okay, it's natural, it's normal, it's what you should be doing. Give
Yeah.
yourself permission to be a mother.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
yourself permission to be yourself,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
individual self. Ask for help. That's what your friends and family are for.
Yeah.
Don't make assumptions about what people have the capacity to do or not do.
Yes.
You have these people that you label, you give that very special title,
Yeah.
friend and family.
Yeah.
They will show up. If they
Yeah.
haven't given you what you need already automatically, don't
Yeah.
be afraid to speak up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one last question
Yeah.
before I leave you for the day, which is, what do you hope Miss Ori will remember about how you moved through this season of life as her
Ooh.
mother?
Oh man. I'm like, do I want to cry now or after I answer this question? Oh,
Both.
oh my God. What do I believe she will remember about me? Huh. This time is deeper than we have time for me to express in this in this message, but one thing that I have been doing is emailing her. So I created an email when she was born, or maybe when I was pregnant for her, and I sent her emails with pictures and messages so she understands who I was and what I was feeling throughout this experience, right? So that's one thing. She will know me during this period. But one thing that I believe she will take away is that the word that's coming to me, I'm ruthless in my decision to be sovereign, to be free. And I am ruthless in my um, desire for her to be sovereign and to be free. Um, and the other word that comes up outside of ruthless is advocate. She knows that I will always advocate for myself and I will always advocate for her, and that she will always advocate for what is true and what is right. That is what I hope she takes with her, to advocate for herself and to always be free and sovereign in a world, maybe when she grows up, that will be a lot easier for people to digest, but she will know it for herself, regardless if anybody can digest it or not. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So powerful. Oh,
Yeah.
I just I I just love this, and I love speaking with you. And I know I said it already, but thank you for being so open and vulnerable and honest
Yeah.
today.
Yes.
Even I
Thank you.
think even people that aren't mothers can really resonate with a lot of what you said
Yeah.
today, especially just the advocating for yourself. That's so powerful and so difficult for people to do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah. And it feels weird. It feels weird sometimes. Like in my body, I'm like, oh, I'll send the text. And then I'm sitting here like, "Ugh." So, yes, it is important. And I thank you for giving me the space to be able to communicate in such a way, and being my friend, being my advocate, being my supporter, and for pursuing your own dreams relentlessly, ruthlessly pursuing your dreams. Thank you. And us doing that is giving space for each other to pursue our. So you ruthlessly pursuing your dream is giving me space to communicate what I'm ruthlessly pursuing, and vice versa, right? And so
Yeah.
I thank you for that. And the last thing I will say is I heard this on a podcast and I want people to remember is like, when a sign that your community is not well is if the women and mothers are unwell. So take care of the women and the mothers. Take care of the women, the mothers, the children, and your community will flourish. So us supporting each other, in being ruthless in our pursuit of what is good for us, it adds so much value to our community.
Wow,
Yeah.
friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. One last thing. If people have any sort of follow-up questions for you and they would like to get
Oh,
in contact with you, how do we
oh,
find you?
you know, I have been taking a little hiatus from social media, but you can check Marissa with a C, MaricaWithac, on Instagram. And I do have, maybe I'll share it with you to show in the show notes, but me and Ori were in a film that was named after her, Ori. It's a 13-minute documentary, and that I feel like people get to see. So um, if that's possible, you can leave the link so people can view it. And yeah, maybe email me or DM me if there's something with the film that speaks to you. I would love more people to be able to see it and do workshops and events around grief and connection that comes from the film or that is separate from the film. But yeah, that is those are the ways to stay connected right now.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show. Always a pleasure to see your face, and I will
Yes.
talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.